I'd like to open, being 7 o'clock on April 21st, 2021, I'd like to open the planning board meeting for tonight. First up, we have some approval not required, King Road.
Yes, they're basically doing a lot line adjustment, creating two lots on Prindle Road. Yep, corner Prindle Hill Road. The properties both front on Prindle Hill Road. So they're adjusting this lot line and straightening it out to make lot one a more conforming lot. Or making it a conforming lot, I should say.
All right. Seems pretty straightforward, and they're making themselves conforming.
Correct.
All right. Any questions from the board?
Nope.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the A&R for King on Prindle Hill Road?
I make a motion to approve the A&R.
Don, you got your audio on?
So I thought,
Oh, I don't. I do now. Sorry.
All right. You
Yeah.
can you second that?
I'll second John's.
Okay. All right. All those in favor? Alicia, can you vote on these?
I don't think I can. That's why I didn't say anything.
No problem. All right. Don Clay,
Yes.
John Smith,
Yes.
Ross Missy. Aye. It's 3-0, unanimous. All right. Next up, we have on Brookfield Road. We have a lot line adjustment.
yes, they're again taking from this smaller property, lot one, which had the larger parcel, part A. They're cutting it off from lot one and adding it to the property of Michael and Michelle Christo on Brookfield Road. So basically, it's a land swap from one property to the other, a lot line adjustment, taking away from one property, adding it to the other property, which actually brings the second property into conformance, because if you look at the lot line, the current lot line on lot A, on the north side of it, there's a swimming pool straddling that lot line. So that lot line will be moved, and it's, I guess it's old and it's been there, you know, it's pre-existing, so, but this will bring everything into conformance on the property.
So is this one lot here now? I'm sorry. Oh, no. Okay. So these are two different lots. Brian and Kelly Christo and Michael and Michelle Christo.
Right, parents basically sell it to their children.
Okay. Okay. So, okay. I still don't see where the new lot line is and the old lot line, but
The old lot line is lot one, actually, as it comes around the bend here, this larger parcel A is part lot one currently.
okay, I see.
Parcel A will be divided off and added to the lot of Michael and Michelle Christo.
Okay, I got you. Okay, so this is the new lot line, and then this one goes away.
Correct.
Gotcha.
All right. Any other questions from the board?
Nope, nope. Now, I do lot one. Okay, so this still has 40,000 square feet of upland. Okay, got it.
Yes.
Okay. Make a motion that we approve 181 Brookfield Road A&R for the Christo Family Trust.
I second.
All right. All those in favor, Don Clay,
Aye.
John Smith,
Aye.
Ross Missy. Aye. It's unanimous. All right. Next up, we have our
Actually, Ross, you want to hold on just for a minute? I think Bill might have joined through his phone, and I don't know if Gene is on as well. I have a couple of phone numbers that I don't recognize, so I didn't know if it was Bill or Gene. If they're here, could they acknowledge it? I don't know.
All right, hearing none, see none? Guess that's a no, right?
I guess so.
All right. All right, moving on. We got a 7 o'clock public hearing for the Beagle Club. Incorporated site plan modification to add 12 volleyball courts at 103 Bond Road. In accordance with sections 200-7.1 and 200-7.2 of the Charlton zoning bylaw, the Charlton Planning Board will hold a remote public hearing on Wednesday, April 21st, 2021 at 7 o'clock via Zoom meeting ID 834-517-80914 and the request of the Charlton Beagle Club, Inc., Charlton, Mass. 01507 for site plan and construction of volleyball courts for beach volleyball for Charlton Beagle Club located at 103 Bond Road. Property contains approximately 62.8 acres. The property is located at 103 Bond Road. The property ID assessor map 58, Lot B, Lot 1, and is zoned agriculture. Pursuant to Governor Business March 12, 2020 orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's Act 15, 2020, strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Charlton Planning Board will be conducted by remote participation. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found at the Town of Charlton website, www.townofcharlton.net. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen and/or watch the meeting may do so in the following manner: video participation, https://zoom.us/211-293-2257, meeting ID 834-517-80914, phone access 1-646-558-8656. Copies of the site plan application are available for inspection at the planning board office in the town clerk's office during regular business hours. The application is also posted on the town website and the planning board. Any person interested or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. All right. I think we had a.
Yeah, we
came
had
up Years ago, so.
Yes, we had
Is
a
there a way that you can
on
mute- is
this.
there a way that you can mute everybody?
I'm sorry.
Is there a way you can mute everybody? There's some people, there's a lot of background noise.
I'm trying to figure that out. I got 44 people on this meeting, so I'm trying to,
You should be able to mute all though, as the administrator.
yeah, just. Everybody.
Or we could just ask people if they would please mute your phones.
Yeah,
That's better.
okay.
All right. I just,
Hey,
go ahead.
Come to the, planning board, we informally discussed about whether this needed a site plan application and how much information would need to be put on this plan. Since this has been proposed as a beach volleyball court, sand courts and not any impervious surfaces, they wouldn't be creating any new impervious area. There's no lighting associated with it. They're planning to use it on an existing old baseball field and existing parking lot. They have showed the parking spaces only as a formality of showing the required parking, but it's currently a gravel parking lot. It's used by both the Beagle Club, and they also allow for users of the town fields across the street to access it as well. Chris McClure from McClure Engineering is on here. Do you have anything to add to that, Chris?
No, thank you, Randy. To the chairman, yes, if everybody's familiar with the Beagle Club, they're over on 103 Bond Road, right across from the town field. They're a 501c not-for-profit organization with these unprecedented times. Looking to stay solvent. Is a way for them to take that existing softball field and with some minor modifications and regrading, create these beach volleyball, which is 2 or 4 person teams. So again, no impervious area. That area will be surrounded by a fence. There's plenty of parking in that gravel, the area that's been a gravel parking lot for decades. We're hoping that the planning board will look favorably upon this project and allow this to go through for this organization.
All right, thank you, Chris. There, any questions from the board as far as any parking for the court?
Yeah, I do. What are the planned hours for use of this facility?
So it would, to the chair, I'm sorry. So weekends, and it's only daylight hours. So there would be some, during the weekdays would be the dusk times. They do currently have a volleyball court there that has some lights, but these particular courts would be operational during daylight periods.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? John or Alicia?
No, back when I was a kid, they used to actually have tractor and horse pulls, and I remember they were also during daylight hours, and I can't imagine that they would be any more disruptive than soccer games across the street. I think it's going to be awesome. I think this will be a great boon to the Beagle Club, and I think it's a great idea.
John Smith, do you have anything?
No, I think that, I mean, we discussed this last week also, so I was good with it back then also, so.
Meeting going on in Charlton tonight about the project.
Right. I'd like to, if no one from the board has any other questions, I'd like to open any questions or comments about, do you have any questions or comments about this site plan here of the Beagle Club? If you do, please state your name and address for the record, please. All right, hearing none, seeing none. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close the, okay, go ahead, Don. Wait a second, go ahead.
I'll make a motion. We close the public hearing for the Beagle Club volleyball courts.
I second it.
All right, all those in favor, Don Clay,
Aye.
John Smith,
Aye.
Alicia Zick.
Don't think I can, but I'll aye.
Okay, all right, Ross Smith,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like, so.
unanimous. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the site
So,
plan?
yeah, I'll make a motion to approve this site plan under the stipulation that it's only used during daylight hours from daylight hours. It's closed down prior to sunset.
Okay.
I'll second it with Don's stipulation to have the facility only run at daylight hours.
All right, all those in favor, Don Clay,
Aye.
John Smith.
Aye.
This is only because I called Alicia's name during the close the public hearing. Call Alicia again.
Aye.
All right, Ross Smith, aye, is unanimous. All right, thank you, Chris. Thanks, Jim. Yep. All right, moving on, we got a Town of Charlton Recreation Commission discussion and review of the concept ADA compliant parking lots, site plan on 12 Dresser Hill Road.
Yes, the recreation, was going to come to me, and I also discussed this with Kurt. What they're essentially doing here is this is all pre-existing with gravel parking lot, and to make the facility ADA compliant, they're proposing to pave this area where the parking lots are with handicap accessible spot, and then also down to the field location so that people that are handicapped need handicap accessibility can get down to the field area. The one other change that they're proposing is to move the existing concession stand over to the paved area so that it would be, better access by people with handicap as well. In speaking to Kurt Meskis, we were discussing whether this even needed a site plan approval. This was originally approved with the site plans. We decided to leave it at the purview of the board. He actually didn't feel it was necessary for our site plan approval. At the very most, it could be done as a field modification to the original site plan that was approved in 2001. If the board felt that it should be deemed a field change, with the proposed paving of the existing gravel area with the handicap spots and the relocation of the concession stands. That would be the two items that would be considered a field change.
The question is, are they paving only the areas where the handicap spot is and where the relocation of the concession stand is going?
Well, down all the way down to where they can access the fields to view, you know, a path so that somebody, say, that's in a wheelchair or needs handicap accessibility can get to the field. Because currently it's not considered ADA compliant, and it's supposed to be, so they're trying to bring it into compliance.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? As far as just this conceptual, as far as.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any questions, but I see this also as just a field change. I don't think we need a whole new site plan for this modification. You know, they're just paving an area and that was gravel previously. Now, do we need any drainage here or?
Oh, I mean, that's up to the board, but this is a 21 acre parcel of land, I think, and this is a very insignificant area, and it actually does have some existing drainage, even though, you know, obviously pavement acts a whole lot different than gravel does, but
Yeah,
I don't know if there's enough area to actually justify having a whole new drainage plan done, you know, for stormwater measures.
are we concerned about stormwater from the impervious surface going into the wetlands there, or is there?
Well,
is there some sort of curbing along that?
They will be going to the Conservation Commission with this as well.
All right.
So the Conservation Commission will be able to speak to that.
Okay. Okay.
If I could, through the chair.
Go right ahead, Chris.
This is Chris McClure. So, yeah, the rec committee had called us in, and there is some existing drainage structures up in the where the existing parking lot is currently. And in order to make this accessible, we will need to pave this area, the walkway between that parking area down into the fields, which is currently all gravel, and which acts very similar to what would be pavement. This isn't going to be open in the winter, so we're not worried about, you know, plowing or salt or sand. It's really just improvements for accessibility. So actually, I feel from review of this, the water quality that actually gets to the wetlands is going to be much better quality than it is currently right now, because now it's all muddy. It's all muddy. So this is really going to, you know, that area down in there. But that's obviously, as Randy said, we will be going to conservation, but that's my professional opinion relative to what we're doing here, the project.
Okay.
John, you got any comments or anything?
No, I think this would be, as we were talking, would be more of a site plan modification than starting from the beginning with site plan review. So I'm good with the plan as depicted, with the comments of the Conservation Commission to be a final added to the plan.
All right. Alicia, anything?
I think it looks great.
All right, perfect. So, Randy, we don't need to do a vote. This is just pretty much a conceptual, isn't it? Or they want?
Well, the question is that based on, you could approve it as a field modification based on this plan, or
Okay.
come for a full site plan modification. application. That's why, to propose it this way and get the, feel of the board of how the board wants to handle it. Kurt Meskis, the building commissioner and zoning officer, also thought it was even kind of a stretch to even call it a field modification, but he felt that the board should make that decision, not him.
Yeah, I think the consensus is that the board feels it's a modification. I correct? John, Don, and Alicia?
Yep, I agree. Yeah.
I agree.
There would have to be some wetland protection when they construct this, because it looks like you're right against I see wetland flags right against the pavement there, so.
Yeah. So, all right, do we have a motion to approve this as a site plan modification for the Charlton Recreation Commission?
Make a motion to approve this as a site plan modification.
I'll second it.
All right. All those in favor, Don Clay,
Aye.
John Smith,
Aye.
Ross Massey, aye. That's unanimous. All right. Thank you, Chris. All right. Being 7:21, we have a public hearing for Charlton Developer LLC site plan application and special permit for proposed warehouse distribution facility at 241 Sturbridge Road. All right, in accordance with sections 200-7.1.4, the Charlton zoning bylaw, Charlton Planning Board will hold a remote public hearing on Wednesday, April 21st, 2021 at 7:05 via Zoom meeting ID 824-5173-0914 on the request of Charlton Developer LLC, 133 Pearl Street, Suite 300, Boston, Mass. 02110 for a site plan to allow an approximately 1,197,000 square foot warehouse distribution facility in the Industrial General District on Sturbridge Road, parcel IDs map 31, block B, lots 3, 3.1, 3.2, and for site plan approval to allow construction, staging, and soil export in the agricultural district on parcel ID map 46, block B, lot 2, which is to the rear of said parcels 31-3-3, 31-B-3.1, and 31B-3.2. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing a strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Charlton Planning Board will be conducted by remote participation. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Charlton website at www.townofcharlton.net. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen and/or watch this meeting may do so in the following manner. Video participation, https://zoom.us/zoom.zoom.us/211-293-2257. Meeting ID 834-5173-0914. Phone access 1-646-558-8656. Copies of the site plan application are available for inspection at the planning board office and the town clerk's office during regular business hours. The application is also posted on the Town of Charlton website under planning board. Any person interested or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. All right, Rainey, do you want to give a quick introduction? I believe that the applicant's representative will take it from there.
Yes, this is, as public notice is proposed for basically a 1.2 million square foot distribution warehouse facility. It's on a parcel of land approximately 200 plus acres on 241 Sturbridge Road. They're also requesting a special permit for building height over 36 feet. So Alicia, that means you can also participate in that process. They currently, because of this is an extensive application, our peer reviewer, Graves Engineering, is still working on their report. We've also Have a traffic consultant looking at the traffic impact analysis. We anticipate having a report from both of them for our May 5th meeting, but they just needed more time to get to it, for which they couldn't do by tonight's meeting. Mark Bobrowski, Esquire, is also here representing the applicant, plus there are other employees of the GFI Industries, which is proposing this application. So Mark Bobrowski is actually trying to do 2 Zoom meetings at the same time because his scheduling ended up that way. So I don't, Mark, are you available right now?
I am, Randy. Thank you very much. For the record, Mr. Chairman, Mark Bobrowski, my office is in Concord, Massachusetts. Before we begin, can I just verify that you have 4 voting members or 3?
Right now we have
We
You
have
have 4.
right now we have 4.
4 for the special permit, 3 for the site plan.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure if we didn't have 4 for the special permit, I was going to ask to continue that without any evidence being taken. So Charlton Developers is a subsidiary of GFI Partners, and it proposes to locate, as Randy said, a 1.2 million square foot distribution facility at 241 Sturbridge Street. The assessor's parcels are listed in the memo that I gave you dated April 16th. There's also a rear parcel. The rear parcel will not be part of the building application. Instead, it will be a parcel that will be used for, at least temporarily, for construction staging and soil import-export. Eventually, as you'll see by your agenda later tonight, there is an amendment. I'm sorry, that we've already reviewed an amendment at Planning Board to convert the agriculturally zoned rear parcel to IG, as is the front parcel. And that will be an area where surplus parking will be had for the tractor trailers that will serve the site. I'm together with you tonight with a team of people who will be giving you a presentation. Our civil engineer is John Perry from Langen Engineering. Traffic engineer is Jeffrey Dirk. Our fiscal impact analysis was done by Mark Fougere. Representing GFI is Haley Marsh, the project manager, along with Jared Suiters. Let me just cover a couple of other preliminary items before I turn it over to our engineer, John Perry. We are an allowed use. A warehouse is defined in the zoning bylaw as a business used primarily for the storage of goods and materials or for distribution, but not for sale. Interestingly, a warehouse is sort of a backdoor allowed use in the IG district. The principal use it's defined under is light manufacturing, but it clearly says that light manufacturing includes warehouse and distribution, and I've gone through that with Mr. Meskis in detail. The other uses on the rear parcel are incidental and accessory to the principal use that we ask you to approve through site plan review tonight. I think it makes the most sense to tackle the site plan first so you have a more global understanding of the project, and then to come back to the special permit at the very end. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to John Perry to give you a walkthrough.
Thank you. Again, John Perry, professional engineer with Langen Engineering, civil engineer for the project. And I have a presentation here. I'd like to share my screen if that is okay with the board.
Sure.
Yep, no problem. Go right ahead.
Okay. So this is the site that we're proposing the facility on at 241 Sturbridge Road. A little bit of context here. So here's Sturbridge Road. Here, north is plan left in most cases with our plans that I'm going to present to you tonight. So Sturbridge Road, Route 20 here, Hill Road in the rear of the parcel. Large wetland marsh on the west, and the majority of the site is vegetated woodland. Same with the eastern abutting property. We do have a few wetland pockets here that I'll point out in a little bit further detail when I get to the grading and stormwater. But there's a wetland here to the northeast with McKinsley Brook running through it. Again, the large wetland to the west, and then a few other wetlands to the south. Here shown in this line type here along Hill Road, and then to the east as well. So that's just a little bit of context for the site location. As I flip to the next screen here, these take a second to load, so bear with me. This is the proposed development that Mark was telling you about before. Again, it's a just shy of 1.2 million square foot warehouse distribution facility with 174 loading dock spaces, 274 tractor trailer parking spaces on site, and 821 car parking spaces, which exceeds, which meets the zoning requirement for parking. So we have our main access off of Sturbridge Road, shown here. We are proposing some improvements to Sturbridge Road that Jeff Dark from the traffic team will speak to in more detail after I'm done presenting the site portion of the project. The majority of the employee parking will be in the front of the building, which is the northern portion of the site facing Sturbridge Road. There is another satellite parking lot to the south, shown here, if you can see my cursor moving around. And then we have our loading docks along the long sides of each of the building, along each side of the building, I should say, with tractor trailer parking parallel to it on both sides, and then another kind of satellite tractor trailer parking lot here. Satellite's maybe the wrong word because it's obviously on site. There will be a secondary access point to Hill Road, and that is only intended, right now to service for construction access, for soil management and construction staging efforts, and at some point, if we're successful in changing the lot zoning on Hill Road, on the Zero Hill Road parcel that we're calling it, we may come back before this planning board to propose tractor trailer parking back there. But at this time, as Mark said before, we're really just seeking to use that portion of the land for stockpiling, soil management, that sort of thing. A few more details I want to hit on. There is a guard shack here, so all the the truck traffic will come in off of Sturbridge Road with dedicated turning lanes. It'll come up through the main truck access point here, through a guard shack. The trucks are all fully gated and fenced in for security purposes. The truck route is mainly separated from the employee parking, so all employees would have to kind of take a left up here, come up the hill a little bit more, and come to the employee parking lot through this eastern passageway here. We are proposing, some steep slopes and retaining walls. It's going to be a fairly significant earthwork project. If you're familiar with the site, it's it's a drumlin, so basically a big hill, and we're proposing a fairly flat site, right? So we're going to be trying to balance the earthwork. So we're going to be removing a good portion of the top of the hill and kind of pushing out the earthwork to the edges to try to flatten to the extent we can for truck parking and employee parking. So that does entail a few retaining walls, as shown in my line type here with little zigzaggies through it. We're trying to limit retaining walls to the extent we can, and in which case we've proposed some slope embankments as well. So shown in this stone graphic around the site. So we've got some slopes that are as steep as 1.5 to 1. We're trying to go to 3 to 1 wherever we can. where they are greater than 3:1, we're going to be using a stabilized soil technique, which is going to consist of layers, building the site in layers with compacted soil, with layers of geotextile grid between each layer, and then armoring that with large riprap for stability. So flipping over here to our grading plan that I just gave you the high level on, you can see now the contours are here with some of our slopes. The thing I want to touch on showing this plan is the items in blue, my blue hatching here, are stormwater management features. So we have 2 above ground infiltration basins on the northern portion of the site. I'll zoom in on those here. So we have a fairly large infiltration basin here, which handles a lot of the stormwater from the employee parking and some of the stormwater from the drive route in. And then we also have another infiltration basin kind of tucked in between Route 20, our entranceway, and the brook here. We're managing stormwater in the remaining portion of the site via underground storage units, specifically large diameter pipe, and we're proposing tight pipe, so not perforated. We don't want to introduce infiltration and water hydrostatic pressures behind our slopes and retaining walls. So we have, on each side of the building, these longer rectangles here represent, our 8-foot diameter pipe. We're proposing to use aluminum pipe. And then the same for these underground storage areas within the 2 parking lots in the back here. And each of these, has a discharge from it, shown in my kind of red highlights, as you can see here. And all of these match existing drainage patterns. We did a very extensive stormwater analysis of the site. If I flip to my next screen here, I should have the existing watershed plan. So there are 6 different design points that we analyzed. For the most part, each of the wetlands was analyzed as a design point, and we were able to design our site so that we are meeting all of the stormwater standards, all the state stormwater standards. We're not increasing peak runoff rates. In fact, we're decreasing peak runoff rates, and we're meeting all of our recharge and infiltration requirements. And I'm sure Graves Engineering will be reviewing that in depth. So that's our proposed watershed plan. I don't want to get too far into the weeds unless anyone has specific questions. And again, we're reducing, these are just the flow values for each of those different design points, and we're decreasing peak runoff rates fairly significantly. So switching gears to site utilities. Unless anyone has questions, I can, maybe the best thing to do is to take questions at the end. So we are kind of starting at Sturbridge Road here. We're getting our utility services from Sturbridge Road. We're not getting any, we're not proposing to take any from Hill Road. In order to facilitate this development, we are bringing a new water line extension up to the east, from the east on Sturbridge Road down to our site. We're bringing a new 10-inch water service to our site, and we are running a new sewer force main up Sturbridge Road as well. So we're going to have a sanitary pump station here near the near the entranceway to our site. That'll be underground. You won't see it. You won't know it's there, but that's roughly where it's going to be, because obviously that's the low spot on site. And then we'll run a force main underground from that point. We're bringing a new water service into the site. We're bringing that to a large water tank for fire suppression services, shown here. So it's a tank with a pump house attached to it, little pump shed basically attached to it. And then all around the site and the building, we're running a new fire suppression loop with laterals going into the building and hydrants extending off of it to meet all of the required codes. And we did get some comments from the building inspector and fire department, I think just today, with some notes on that. And we'll review that in depth and make sure that any of their concerns are addressed. It seems like generally they already are. We're already taking into account most of what they had commented on, but again, we're going to coordinate that as needed as well. And then there's no gas here, right? So we're going to have a propane tank shown in green. And then our electric and utility and underground telephone will also come from Sturbridge Road to service the site as well. Okay. So with our submission, we provided a very robust, planting scheme where we're obviously, clearing a good amount of the site, right? So we were conscious of that. We are proposing to plant, I believe it's 275 new trees on site, mix of evergreen and shade trees, and that doesn't include our evergreen type shrubs around the site. We are meeting all of the zoning requirements for plantings, and we did go a little heavier on the eastern edge, as shown here along the eastern truck parking with some evergreens so that we can screen that truck parking with evergreens. On the western side, we didn't have as much room for evergreen screening, so we're proposing a decorative screen fence on that edge to help mitigate some of the the aesthetics there. This is our site lighting plan as well, and I don't intend to really get too deep into the weeds on this one, but just wanted to note that all of our lighting fixtures are dark sky compliant. They're all shielded. They're all LEDs. They're all pointing downward instead of outward. And we have 0-foot candle well within the property line. 0-foot candle basically just outside of our limit of work. We were very cognizant of lighting here as well. Okay, so this is just an overall site plan. This is our overall construction staging plan, showing our main site here at 241 Sturbridge Road, and then showing it in context with the parcel we're calling 0 Hill Road that we're intending to use for soil stockpiling and construction staging. And what you'll see there is that we're proposing very robust sedimentation basins, which will likely be converted into permanent stormwater basins in the event that truck parking does go back here at some point. But again, right now we're planning to keep this all impervious, soil stockpiling, and then vegetating all the slopes with a nice meadow mix for erosion prevention purposes as well. This does include some modifications to Hill Road itself, which includes widening a good portion of Hill Road to 28 feet wide so that trucks could get, have two-way access through there. It would be gravel during construction. And if we don't, if we don't do a parking lot back here in the future, then the intent would be to restore that to its natural state. The one caveat with what I just mentioned about the widening is that there is an existing culvert kind of right in the middle of this with wetlands on either side. So we would actually bottleneck it down to a one-way just for a short bit there. So we didn't have to, widen and disturb the wetlands. Okay, so showing you our erosion control scheme here, and we put a lot of thought into the erosion control. This is obviously a big site, and we want to manage this correctly with the contractor. And what we're proposing is to use multiple rows of silt fence and filter tube. We're going to put all of our stockpiling and staging outside of the wetland buffers. So this kind of dotted line type we have here represents our silt fence and silt tubes. So we have multiple rows to start. We have lots of notes on this plan, and we'll have lots of discussions with the contractor about phasing, tree clearing and grubbing of the site so that there's limited potential for erosion. And then as they start constructing, slopes, as they start, basically doing their earthwork within the building footprint to cut the earthwork from the center of the site and build out the perimeter with our walls and slopes. We'll have the contractor stabilize each bit of the slope that they're working on with that armored reinforcing rock as they go, so that there's no erosion potential. And then we'll be adding rows of silt sock and silt tubes again as we go. And again, this is all also going through the Conservation Commission. And then this is our kind of third phase of erosion control as well. Once we've got the site fairly stabilized, putting in silt socks and silt sacks in the catch basins and making sure the site is completely stable. All the new slopes are finished before we remove any erosion control. And of course, that'll all be coordinated with the Conservation Commission as well. So that concludes my portion of the presentation. I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Dirk to talk about traffic, but maybe this is a good point to, if there are any questions about the site before we do that.
All right, thank you, John, for the thorough overview of the project and stuff. Being the open meeting here and stuff, Randy, what do you think going forward as far as because of this, also as well as the board, what do you guys think? It's just, we have the overview here. We don't have any comments yet from Graves. And haven't any of the meetings going forward we dedicated to, whether it be traffic, stormwater, plantings, and things of like because of how big of a project it is. I know the last large project that the board had in front of them, that's what they did, and it worked out, but we did, and we worked out pretty well.
I just had a couple of comments. One is, I don't know if we want to take advantage, but there's I believe a couple members of the fire department, the chief,
Yep.
been off, and Dennis Carlson. So I don't know if they're just listening or if they have any comments to this project from the firefighting standpoint, since they're on the meeting, if they want to take advantage of the opportunity to speak about that. And just to enlighten the public, maybe we're not going to get a report from our traffic consultant, but maybe if the traffic consultant can give a brief overview of the traffic that's going to be expected from this facility, because I think that's probably one of the questions in people's minds. So just to give a brief overview of it, and we get into the details of it at our next meeting for the traffic impact analysis, and also should have information from Graves Engineer as far as the stormwater as well.
Mr. Chair.
Go right ahead, Don.
What I kind of thought what tonight's meeting was kind of like a high level overview of all the different aspects to it, and take some public comments, and then we can work on the finer details of the other meetings, but at least get the information out there and get a quick high level view of everything would be great for me anyways.
So why don't I pass it to Jeff Dirk then to talk about traffic then in that case.
Thanks, John. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Jeffrey Dirk. I'm the managing partner with Vanessa and Associates, and we're the transportation consultants for the project. I will, as kind of the board members indicated, I'll go through this relatively quickly and just try to hit the high points of the traffic study. There's an extensive transportation analysis that's been done for this project. We've been working on it for probably the better course of almost 2 years. With the town of Charlton and the Mass Department of Transportation. So it's very extensive, and we appreciate the benefit of the peer review as well. That'll be coming in the next meetings. So John, if you go to the next slide, please. So just by way of a high level overview, please don't read everything that's on here. What I want to point out on this slide here really is this analysis was undertaken with the town, and I think that's very important. So in working with the town and Mass DOT, we have an understanding of projects that are ongoing along the Route 20 corridor. We're the traffic consultant for Treehouse Brewing. We design the road improvements that happen at their entrance. We're also the consultant for a number of other projects within the town, as well as in the town of Sturbridge. So we have a pretty good understanding of what's coming down the road for projects in the area, and our analysis reflects all of that. So we're not just looking at existing conditions out there or pre-COVID conditions. We're looking in the future as well as to what the growth looks like along the Route 20 corridor. All of this analysis in terms of the traffic numbers, they were all basically pre-COVID traffic counts. I think that's very important as well. So we're not looking to try to estimate what things might have looked like if COVID didn't happen. All of the data collection was done in 2019, with the exception of one intersection that the state asked us to add. So it's a very valid database that we're working with, and we're not doing a lot of estimating, which I think is a good thing as well. The majority of this traffic from this project, because it's warehouse-based, is really focused towards Interstate 84. That's where the trucks are going to be primarily coming from. So it's going through Sturbridge and then coming into the project site in this area. What you heard John mention as well is that the sole access to this site for employees and trucks is from Route 20. So a new driveway that will be constructed. So in terms of interaction with other roadways in the town, it's really focused on the access to Route 20. And the majority of that truck activity, again, is heading to and from Interstate 84. So again, that's a very important point. John, next slide, please. So context of the project site, you've seen this, you know where it is in relation to the Route 20 corridor. We're basically abutting or close to the Sturbridge town line. So again, most of the traffic is coming in from the left of the slide here. So it's making a right turn in, and when it's coming out, it's going to be making a left-hand turn as well. So that's important as we look at the design of the access. Next slide, John. So this slide shows the study area. So these are all the intersections that we evaluated as a part of the project. And these intersections were defined by Mass DOT. So these are the locations that they had asked that we look at as a part of the transportation analysis. It's 6 specific intersections along the Route 20 corridor. 2 of them are in Sturbridge. So starting at the center of Hard Brooks, the intersection with Route 49. And then as we proceed into Charlton, of course, the access into our project site, the intersection with Route 169, and then the 2 intersections that are around the Charlton City area. So at Carpenter Hill Road, and then at Masonic Home Road. So those were the 6 intersections that we were asked to look at as a part of the traffic study. This section of roadway on Route 20, it accommodates about 14,000 vehicles per day. That's 2-way traffic over 24 hours. The posted speed limit is 50 miles an hour, but as you probably know, and it's probably familiar from the Treehouse project, the majority of the vehicles are traveling at about 60 miles an hour. So as we look at design features and the safety of the access, that access is designed for 60 miles an hour, even though the posted speed limit is 50 out there. So that's very important as well. We're not designing for the posted speed limit. We're designing for the composition of traffic, which is a lot of truck activity, and high speed, 60-mile-an-hour speed on the roadway. This slide also shows pedestrian and bicycle facilities. As you probably imagine, on Route 20, as you know, other than the Charlton City area, there's a lack of pedestrian connections and bicycle connections in the area. The other thing I want to point out is that in terms of public transportation access, this is a large site with a lot of employees. So we do not have access to bus routes. The Worcester Regional Transit Agency provides one bus route through Charlton, the Route 29 bus. It comes down Route 20, and then it goes down Route 169. So it doesn't go to the west of Route 169. So it's not something that we can take advantage of. But that being said, we've geared a program to reduce traffic that is not dependent upon the bus service, because it just doesn't exist along that section of Route 20 at this time. John, next slide. So this is what Randy was mentioning, just in terms of getting some traffic numbers out there, what we're talking about for trip generation for the site. So if you look to the far right-hand side of the table that you see here, so the first number, the large number, that's the amount of traffic over a 24-hour basis, or the operational day of the project, how much traffic it would generate. So this is two-way traffic going in and out. So it's a total of 1,942 vehicle trips. So it's 971 entering and 971 exiting. So again, that's if you stood at the driveway and counted everything going in and out of the site, that's the number you'd arrive at. So if you're looking at volume increases on Route 20, so I mentioned it's 14,000 vehicles per day. That's the number you would add to the 14,000. So that's your net increase in traffic on Route 20. The other two numbers that you see are your peak hour numbers. So this is the highest traffic volume hour in the morning that would occur somewhere between 7 and 9 in the morning. I believe in this area, it's around 7:30 to 8:30. The project will generate 169 vehicle trips. The majority of that, 130 vehicles would be entering, 39 would be exiting. The next number in the bottom on the right-hand side is the evening peak hour. So this is the highest traffic volume hour between 4 and 6. The project will produce 172 vehicle trips. So again, that's a 1 hour period, the highest volume that it would occur during the evening peak hour. Next slide, John. So this is the distribution of the traffic. So we talked about how much traffic it's going to generate, and now we need to add that traffic out to the roadways and intersections that we studied. And that's what this slide shows here. So this is developed two ways. The first is for employees. In terms of looking at where employees come from in this area, what we look at is journey to work data for persons that are employed in the town of Charlton or the town of Southbridge, and where do they live and come to work in this area. And so that's one way we develop the traffic patterns here. The other thing is, of course, trucking activity. So if we look at trucking activity along this section of Route 20, the majority of that trucking activity, again, is oriented to and from the west to Interstate 84. And so you also see that. So if you look at the aggregation of all of this, what you see is 60% of the traffic is oriented towards Sturbridge, and 40% of it is oriented to and from the east, so to Charlton, Uxbridge, Auburn, to other communities to the east of where the project site is located. And then you can see lesser amounts to some of the roadways, local roadways. Those lesser amounts, that's not truck traffic, that's employee-related traffic that's on those roadways. Next slide, John. So as John had mentioned, and I had mentioned as well, the project has a sole access off of Route 20. That access will be signalized. It meets all of the criteria for the installation of a traffic signal. So we will be installing a traffic signal at that location. The driveway is going to be slightly offset to the west from the driveway to the, I think it's the JRD Technology Center. That will be a part of the traffic signal as well. It may be hard to read on the slide here, but what you will be seeing is some substantial improvements. Thank you, John, that's perfect. Some substantial improvements to Route 20. So what you see is left turn lanes being added. So Route 20 gets widened so that we maintain 2 through lanes of traffic in both directions. We add center turn lanes, so left turn lanes, to go into both our property as well as into the JRD Technology Center. And then the other important thing, given the fact that we're on a high-speed road and we have trucking activity, is a right turn deceleration lane to get into the project site. So all of this together, what it does is it gets any traffic associated with this project completely out of the way in its own turn lanes to be able to enter the site, either in a left turn lane or right turn lane. So if you're a through moving vehicle along Route 20, any activity associated with this site is in its own lane and is not in your way at all. These turn lanes have also been designed not only to accommodate the vehicle queuing that's expected, so there's no spillback. So those situations you have where the left turn lane backs up into the main through lane so that you actually can't get by, that's not going to happen in this case. They're actually over-designed, and that was required by Mass DOT, so that we're able to accommodate the traffic, not only from this project, but also, as I said, looking into the future as to what traffic patterns may look like in the area as well. John, if you could scroll out just a little bit. Another thing that I wanted to point out, because it's very important on this section of Route 20, because we're introducing a new traffic signal in this area here, if you look to the west of the site, you see the curvature of Route 20. Because of the high-speed traffic that's along this roadway, the last thing we want to have is someone coming around this corner at 60 miles an hour, encountering a queue in that left turn lane and not being able to see that. So what you see happening here is that we've actually pulled back the slopes that John was mentioning to ensure that we have sufficient sight line along the curve, so that if you're driving 60 miles an hour and the traffic is stopped at a red light, you'll see the back of that queue before you even encounter it. So not only will you see the traffic signal, but you won't have a situation where you come around the queue, the light is turned red, and there's a queue of cars, and you can't see the back of that queue without sufficient time to be able to stop. So there's a lot of design features that go into this to make sure that it's safe. And that's one of the things that we've been working on with Mass DOT. So all of the sight lines here exceed what's required for 60 miles an hour and take into account the curvature of the roadway as well. Next slide, John. So this just talks about some of the improvements, and I won't go through these in a lot of detail, but I think just to say, you know, we have improvements in Charlton as well as in Sturbridge, because we do have, as I said, 60% of the traffic is going through Sturbridge. There's one intersection in the town of Sturbridge that you might be familiar with, Fisk Hill Road, that has, it's a high crash location. It's since had its crash rate decreased because of the left turn restrictions that are put there. But the town does want some improvements done there. So that's something we're going to be doing as a part of this project, just to address some existing conditions. The Transportation Demand Management Program, as I mentioned, you know, you see a lot of parking spaces at this site, but really one of the things we want to do is get employees to be able to carpool. So we have an extensive program that has a transportation coordinator. And one of the central things that coordinator will be doing is facilitating carpooling by employees. And so they'll have a carpool matching program and other things really to reduce the amount of traffic. And if employees are on site, what we want to try to do is keep them on site, especially during lunchtime. So if we can offer specific amenities so they don't have to get back in their car and then leave the site, it just reduces the amount of trips associated with the project. Next slide, John. So the last two things, and these are important, John talked about construction activity on the site. There's a detailed construction management plan that's specifically related to traffic and transportation. That's a part of the traffic study. Sometimes that's very often overlooked, but it is an important part of the project, because all of the mitigation and things we talk about are when the project is built and what will be put in place. But there's that interim condition as we're building the project that needs to be managed as well. So there is a construction management plan specifically related to traffic and transportation that's a part of it. And then the last thing is kind of this look back provision, which is known as a traffic monitoring program. Any project that's on a state highway and that requires a state highway access permit from Mass DOT is subject to a traffic monitoring program. And what that is we're required, we have this nice transportation analysis I said that I put together. You're going to have it peer reviewed. At the end of the day, those traffic numbers that I had mentioned to you, the volume of traffic that we're expecting to generate, we have to prove that out. And the way we prove that out is the traffic monitoring program. And this is a reported document that goes to both Mass DOT and the town. So it will be submitted to the planning department. We're required to monitor the volume of traffic going in and out of the site 7 days a week for an entire 1 week period. And then for each of those peak hours, and we have to compare the measured traffic volumes to the traffic volumes that are in the report. And we have to prove out basically that the numbers that we predicted, we've analyzed and mitigated, that we're not above those numbers. They give us a 10% variation. So I'm allowed to exceed those numbers by no more than 10%, but I have to be within that 10% variation. If we exceed those numbers, additional mitigation gets triggered, and we have to define what that is and take corrective actions and implement that. But again, I think it's important because, again, I do my full traffic analysis. You have it peer reviewed. Hopefully you approve this project, and then there's this follow on here that has to take place to basically say, whatever I've reported to you and you had peer reviewed, we have to prove it out and show that it's actually happening. So you will get feedback even after this project is approved. So that concludes my presentation. I'll take questions later, and I look forward to the peer review.
All right, thank you, Jeffrey, for your presentation and those figures. Very helpful. Thank you. Anyone from the board have any questions for Jeff?
Not at this time here.
All right.
Oh,
John,
Mr. Chairman, we had a gentleman named Mark Fougere who was going to give a brief fiscal overview of the benefits and impacts that it will have on the municipal resources.
all right, go right ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
How you doing, Mark?
Good evening. Just trying to. I looked at the estimated economic impacts, Mr. Chairman and board. Again, Mark Fougere with Fougere Planning. We took a look at the region's buildings that are similar to what's being proposed here. And came up with an average assessment of approximately $50, a little bit more than $50 per square foot. And when that's applied to this proposed project, we're looking at a future assessment of over $60 million, $60.6 million, which obviously is a huge benefit to the community, a very large increase in the tax base, which is going to generate over $900,000 a year in property taxes. This development will increase the commercial industrial valuation of the community by 39%. The proposed development will increase real estate taxes by 4.1%. We believe the project is consistent with the local economic development goals of expanding the community's tax base along Route 20 corridor. Over $90 million in construction will be spent on the site, significantly expanding construction opportunities for the community and the region. Limited increased service demands will be seen to town departments, affording local officials the ability to direct new revenues to the community priorities. An estimated 1,000 people will be employed in this facility, adding approximately $30 million to the local economy in wages alone. Over $1 million in local fees will be generated. That includes $324,000 in building permit fees and over $700,000 in water and sewer fees. Additional revenues are also possible from vehicle excise and personal property taxes. So I think overall, this is a great win for the community. It's consistent with your community goals and will be, we believe, an excellent new business in the community and generate a significant amount of revenues to help the community along. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mark, for those figures. We have any questions from anything, John Clay, John Smith, or Alicia?
Oh, not at this time.
Okay. All right. Actually, Randy, did you think that Dennis Carlson or any representative from the fire department was here?
I don't know if Dennis or the chief would like to make any comments in reference to the application.
I can speak to it. Kurt and I did late this morning, early this afternoon. A few of them were identified already in this presentation. We're just looking forward to being involved in the process as it moves forward. We don't want to be backdoored with any last minute issues or concerns. So we're just asking to be involved. At the beginning, the fire suppression is a significant system. So we want to be involved in that process, make sure everything's up to snuff and on par on our end. We're just glad to be a part of it and looking forward to the process.
Thank you, Dennis. All right, I guess this is my question to the board. I know that when, this is years ago prior to my time on the board, when the Conover project came forward, the board at the time had requested a community impact study be done as far as what kind of, what this proposed project could have an effect as far as on any of the public safety, police and fire. You guys have any comment on that if you'd like to see that done? Go ahead, Don.
Well, I was just going to say, that it's probably a good idea to do that, from an independent point of view on what we could be looking at over there over the years. And I'm assuming this facility is going to be here for many, many years.
John Smith?
Yeah, I mean, just the magnitude of the project, and it would be nice to have that impact statement so the townspeople would understand what, the benefits or the detriments that this project can have for them.
Gotcha. Alicia, do you have any comment to add to it at all? Oh, Alicia still with us?
Which one will we do louder?
Yes.
All right, I don't see Alicia on anymore. Do you see her, Randy?
No, she must have.
Okay, she might have logged off.
Maybe having problem with service tonight.
Okay.
We do have members of the public here, so I guess if they, without getting specifics tonight, ask if
Okay.
there's any general questions.
All right, at this time, I'll open it questions to the general public. Just speak, please, your name and your address, and just be, this is more than a one-night review, and I'll put it that way, I think.
Ross, I can make a quick suggestion that on the Zoom meeting, under the reactions on the bottom of the panel,
Yep.
there's a raise your hand icon.
Yeah.
And as you see, and maybe that'll keep things a little bit more in control in case there's a lot of people that want to speak. And you can turn that on or off like I just did. Reactions, raise hand.
Just hit the button.
Yep, just hit reactions and then raise hand, and
Okay,
it comes
gotcha.
up. We can use it that way.
All right.
Hi, this is Denise Delaney at 25D Highfield Road. I just want to say that I lost connectivity, so I'm just on the phone, and I do have a question/comment.
All right, go right ahead, Denise.
Thanks. So I'm a resident of Charlton. I was formerly a resident a few years back of Hatfield, Massachusetts. And I actually went through a similar project as a resident with CNS Grocery Corporation, and they put in a distribution center in our town. My comment is that one of the unknown side effects that residents, particularly residents that were living within a mile of the facility, realized after the fact, two things. One was we were very surprised at the amount of noise that we experienced, particularly at night, late at night, from a large amount of trucks particularly backing up and around the facility and in the parking lot and down the driveway. The noise carried much further than I think anyone anticipated. And obviously it affected people living closer to the facility than farther away. The other unanticipated problem was the amount of exhaust that the surrounding neighborhood experienced, the increase in exhaust from idling trucks. So that's my comment. My question is, will there be some type of study as part of the impact study on exhaust and noise.
All right, thank you for the question, Denise. I know on past site plans, a noise consultant has been brought in. I guess it'd be up to the board as far as what you guys think. I mean, I don't think there's any way getting around a backup alarm from a truck because they need it for the function, part of their inspection, field inspection sticker, so there's no way around that.
Well, I think people that are, I don't think where I am it will affect me, but if there's anyone living, you know, less than a mile, it probably will impact them, particularly in the warm weather.
All right. Thank you. John Clay or John Smith, is there any
take the comments.
what?
I know in the past project, there was a noise consultant that was, and a lighting consultant that did weigh in on, we did have input from both of those for ambient noise, I believe. Ross, is that correct? They had a ambient noise and then they had a measurable decibel after that. I'm not quite sure how that works, but it would be nice to see what the noise would be for that project. And I assume it'd be 24/7, this project. Is that correct?
Attorney Bobrowski, would it be a 24-hour operation at this facility? Oh, I think you know what they're
Sorry, I'm reaching out to GFI officials right now. I'll get that answer for you.
Sure, I can respond to that, Mark.
Oh, go right ahead, Haley.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you to the board. So at this time, we do not have a specific tenant that we're building this for. It's still a spec development, so I can't speak to exactly the hours, but we're proposing a 24-hour facility at this time.
Thank you very much.
So Russ, you got to have a couple people with your hands up.
Okay,
Joseph Habler.
Yep. Hi.
go ahead, Joe.
I'm Joe Habler. I live on 10 Schoolhouse Road. I just want to say that was a very good presentation. I'm glad to see you're going to have traffic lights on Route 20. I have concerns about the noise and fumes as well. I think that needs to be studied. But one of the things I'm concerned about, and people around here are concerned about, is the use of Hill Road. Now, are you going to use Hill Road from Route 20 down to the site, or just through the site to Hill Road?
Joe, I can answer that, John, unless you want to. So traffic would flow through the site.
Okay.
The access to Hill Road would be through our site, from the traffic from our site. So it's no extra traffic beyond that.
Yeah, I'm just concerned because Hill Road is not a very wide road at all. Okay, thank you.
Haley, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were proposing to use it after the publicly maintained portion of Hill Road, so it actually won't affect any portion of the public part of Hill Road.
That's also correct, Randy. So the work, the proposed road widening that we would be doing on Hill Road is on the private road, Paper Street.
Okay, because Hill Road is not a through road. It ends someplace there in the woods.
Right. Well, that's where we made that determination where it is.
Yeah. I mean, how close to houses would that be in that area?
I don't have the exact measurement unless John can tell me.
I'm trying to pull up the the slide that shows that information. But it's basically going to be an extension of our site driveways. You know, we don't expect to have any traffic, employees, or trucks going up the other portion of Hill Road where people live.
Right. Okay.
I have questions about Hill Road, if it's okay. Ed
Yep,
Briggs,
go ahead.
75 Hill Road.
All right, there you go. Yep.
Okay, so Hill Road has been discontinued, correct? At the top of that corner, there's a post that's been put in there years and years ago. That road is discontinued, correct?
That's the information that we found, yes.
So at that point, the abutters to that road would own to the halfway point of that road. That's what I've been told in the past. So in a sense, you'd be trafficking my property to get to your stockpile area.
May I interject here?
Please.
Our preliminary examination of Hill Road suggests that the proponent this evening has probably you do as well, derelict fee rights in the road, which means if you only own on one side of it, you would own to the center line. But if you own on both sides of it, you own the road in front of both properties as it goes through. That's ownership interest. That has nothing to do with rights. The derelict fee statute, however, carries by implication with it the rights to improve that road for anybody on the road. And that is what we intend to do, at least in the section that John showed as being improved.
I don't see that would make an improvement to the town. It would just make an improvement to you.
Well, it's not a town road, so we're not intending to direct that as an improvement to the town. We're intending to improve it for the need that we have in that area. I'm happy to share with you the statutes and the rights that are attendant to derelict fee ownership of the roadway.
Sure. Now, the other question I had about Hill Road is there's some properties, and I'm one of the properties, directly across from the backside of that lot. I know you guys talked about doing a lot of plantings in there, right? And fancying up I believe it was the west and the east side with some stuff, but you had nothing on that south face where you're gonna have neighbors that are gonna be looking right into that property. I don't know if any of my neighbors are on this call tonight, but it would affect them more than it would affect me.
I guess a portion of the property is currently wetlands.
The south face. No, this house is all the way down that road.
Well, we can take a look at additional landscaping and screening. Be happy to work with you and receive suggestions from you to improve that.
Yeah, I think we got a long way to go, I think, right? There's still going to be a lot more hearings and
yes.
things to talk about.
Yes.
All right. I'm just getting myself involved right in the beginning. When I went to develop my property, I was told Hill Road was discontinued, so I couldn't use that access. And that was a 50% ownership for the property across the way. So he had part ownership, so I couldn't reopen it. And now we are doing it. So you can see my dismay.
Well, discontinuance and abandonment are two very different legal principles. So again, I'll supply some information to you through a memo, but more importantly, if you would reach out to us, and you can do that through Randy, and give some suggestions, not just individually, but as a group. We'll take those into consideration as we go through the design process.
All right. Thank you.
If you're not in touch with Randy, you can either email him or call the planning board office.
Now you can get Randy through the planning board office?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. Do we have anyone else that has any questions?
Is Mr. Chris Kowalski? Your hand raised.
This is
Hello,
Denise Delaney again. Oh, sorry. I'm only on the phone, so I'm not sure if anyone has their hand raised, but I just have one more question. And this may just be, rumor, but I was surprised to hear the woman earlier say that there were no tenants lined up, because I was told this was going to be a distribution site for Amazon. I have nothing against Amazon. That's what I was told.
We do not have a tenant secured for this site at this time. There's some interest from a number of different users, but we do not have anyone committed for the site.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Chris Kowalski, he was the next person with his hand raised.
Hello, my name is Chris Kowalski. I'm a resident of Oxford Road. My question / concern is in regard to the traffic study. And we often find that truck drivers that are coming in from out of the region will use both Mugget Hill Road and Oxford Road as a cut through to get to Central Turnpike to access Route 395 and Routes 146. And I want to ensure that that's taken into consideration in the traffic study, and that the town thinks about ways to mitigate the amount of heavy truck traffic coming through those roads.
Randy, maybe you can speak better to this than I can. I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's any limitations as far as weight limit goes on any of those roads, being a bridge or any height restrictions.
No, there aren't any of those roads. I mean, as a truck driver, yes, it's a shorter distance to 395 in distance, but not in time. It's a 30, 35 mile an hour road on Oxford Road, the whole length of it, pretty much. And then to go through the town of Oxford. I'm not saying a truck driver wouldn't try it, but they'd only do it once. Realize it takes them far longer than to just get on the Mass Pike and go to 395.
Yeah. I think we deal with the same thing on Brookfield Road with the car carrier traffic going to the transfer station on Route 49.
Correct.
You really can't. I think the police have gone over multiple times. You really can't restrict.
Really prevent somebody from using a public road.
All right. Does anyone else have their hand raised?
Yes, Steve W.
Yes, this is Steve Washburn, also from Highfield Road. And my concern is the pulling in and out of Highfield Road off of Route 20 is pretty dangerous right now. And with all these added trucks and traffic, I think it's going to be really dangerous. You're trying to turn left coming from west to east up Highfield Road, and there's the corner right around the corner. The cars come flying around that corner. It's very dangerous right now. I just wondered if anybody had looked at Highfield Road or taken that into consideration.
And the traffic one when Mass Pike is.
Jeffrey, you want to address that?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman. So we did look at safety along the entirety of the corridor, and that I will say from the standpoint of Highfield Road, it's not a location that's a safety issue with respect to crashes happening. It's not the, making a left-hand turn out of any roadway or driveway along Route 20 that doesn't have access to a signal is, to say it's challenging is an understatement. From the standpoint of this project, as I mentioned, the majority of the traffic is heading towards Sturbridge. So it's not going back to, into Charlton, essentially. The amount of traffic heading back into Charlton that would interact with Highfield Road is a smaller portion of the traffic. But I want to just say it doesn't negate what you experience in terms of left turns. But the majority of our truck activity is heading to and from Interstate 84. So it shouldn't have a significant increased interaction with Highfield Road.
That's where we are, in between.
That's incorrect. We are there. All the traffic will be going right by our road.
Right.
Highfield Road is west of this project.
Oh, okay, so that's helpful. So thank you. Yeah, and I apologize for that. I think if you're close to where the site is located, we're making some improvements to Route 20, so you'll have some benefit of that. I think the other thing, if you're to the west of the site, the traffic signal will actually benefit you in that it's going to be stopping the flow of traffic during some periods as it's operating. So it's kind of counterintuitive that you have a site that's going to add traffic to Route 20, but we're putting in a traffic signal means there's going to be points throughout the day when that light's going to turn red to allow traffic to exit our site. When that happens, that's going to create a gap in traffic on Route 20, which will do two things. It'll allow you to be able to get out, but it also will slow the traffic down to some extent. So there will be it's, as I said, it's counterintuitive, but there will be some benefit to the fact that increased traffic and the addition of a traffic signal in place, plus the Route 20 improvements.
This is Denise again. I just want to make sure I understand where the site is. My understanding is that from Highfield Road, the site is east of Highfield Road. 84 and the Mass Pike is to the west of Highfield Road. So I don't understand the statement that it won't affect Highfield Road. My understanding is all the truck traffic will be going right by our street.
Yeah, I think I just clarified that. And I apologize for my misorientation, but I think I clarified that.
But I still don't understand it. So how, if I am basically, if I have 84 to the east, or the west rather, if I have 84 to the west of me and I have the site to the east of me, how does the traffic not affect Highfield Road?
So I think just kind of backing up, the traffic will affect Highfield Road. My initial statement that traffic was majority of it was going to the west, so it wouldn't interact with Highfield Road. I had said that as it was clarified by the chairman, Highfield Road is actually to the west of the site. So I clarified my initial statement by saying, yes, the majority of our traffic will be going past Highfield Road. I further reiterated the fact that there will be a benefit, although counterintuitive, that the installation of a traffic signal at our entrance will stop the flow of traffic during specific time periods when the light turns red on Route 20. That has an effect of two things. It creates gaps in the traffic, actually in both directions, whether you're to the east or the west of the site, that provides an opportunity to be able to exit the property. And the other thing that it does is it slows the traffic down. So those 60 mile per hour speeds that are constant throughout the day will get broken by the traffic signal.
Okay, all right, I get that part, but this is the part I'm having trouble understanding. So just stay with me, because I'm assuming there's probably folks on the phone that might have the same question. So I understand that right now you're saying that the majority of the traffic is moving, I think you said west towards Sturbridge, but I'm thinking that given the size of what you're proposing, which, by the way, I don't have any issue. I'm not objecting. I'm not for or against it. I'm just trying to understand it. Given the size of what you're proposing, I'm a commuter. That's why I live where I live. So I understand, basically the traffic flow, but I'm thinking ahead that all of the trucks or most of the vehicles that are going to be going to that facility and leaving that facility will be going east and west, right? They're going to be coming off 84, which is so I guess what I'm saying is I think we're going to have a lot more traffic coming west, and then or coming east, and then when they load up, they're all going to be coming west, or vice versa. So I understand what you're saying now, where that 40% of the traffic is going east, but I think the forecast needs to account for the fact that any truck that comes off 84 to that facility is most likely going to load up and come back the same way.
And I agree with you. I think, again, I know it sounds confusing, and I'm probably not presenting it in a clear way. When I say the traffic is oriented, to be clear, it's to and from. So to and from the west. So depending on where you are as an observer, it's the trucks get off. So if they're entering the site, the majority of the trucks get off Interstate 84, travel east along Route 20, and then go into the site. When they leave, they do exactly what you said. They make a left-hand turn in the site, and then they're traveling westbound towards 84. So you're 100% right in terms of what your statement is.
Okay, so I guess, I guess I don't want to be right or wrong. I'm just saying that to me, that tells me that the forecast of traffic is for folks on Highfield Road or any of those other roads between 84 and the site. Our traffic is really doubling. So for the initial statement, when I think it was Mr. Washburn said, has there been any, discussions about how do we make it safer there? I think maybe we need to think about that, because we're already having trouble getting in, and even taking a right-hand turn out of Highfield is dicey. So I guess I just want to make sure that's still part of the conversation. I don't think Highfield Road is so far away from a traffic perspective that we're not going to get affected. I think we are.
All right. We'll take two more questions, and we got another public hearing to get to, just to keep this going. Is there anyone else that has a question that hasn't asked one yet?
I don't see anybody else with their hand raised.
All right. No one else, Randy?
I do not see anybody else. Anybody else that has a question about the application? I don't see any raised hands.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion to continue this public hearing. Oh, Don, we need your audio on, buddy.
So what's open on the calendar, Randy? Do we have something?
Yeah, May 5th.
We actually
May 1st.
Intend to be scheduled for the May 5th meeting. We'll have the opening of the application for Curtis Hill Estates and then also this application. The intention is that we're going to hear back from the traffic consultant at that meeting and also receive our first report from Graves Engineering.
Okay, so we're expecting peer reviews at that point?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion, we continue this public hearing until May 4th?
May 5th.
May 5th? All right, the 5th.
I second the motion.
All right, all those in favor, Don Clay,
Aye.
John Smith,
Aye.
Ross Mansky. All right, May 5th is the next public hearing for this application for all the residents. And thank you, Attorney Grabowski, John Perry, Haley, and Jeff for you guys' presentation, as well as Mark.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, guys. Thank
We
you.
still have a
Thank you.
public hearing for the zoning law change, right?
That is correct.
Just want to make sure that people are aware that there's still more. Some more goodness to come.
With the, can I just make a statement to the residents that are listening? One, we have all the information here at the planning board office, but also go on the town website and go to the planning board page. Under developments and applications, you'll find all the information that has been provided so far with the application. And you're always welcome to come to the planning board during town office hours to look at any of the information with the application. If you had any questions. That's it.
Thank you, Randy.
All right. All right, being 8:37, we have a 7:30 public hearing for zoning bylaw revision under section 200.3.3 intensity regulations to allow a building height over 36 feet to no more than 110 feet in business enterprise park DEP and no more than 75 feet in IG, industrial general IG, and a special permit from the planning board. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 5, the Charlton Planning Board will hold a remote public hearing on Wednesday, April 21st at 2021 at 7:30 p.m. via Zoom meeting ID 824-517-30914 to consider revising the Town of Charlton zoning bylaws, Section 200.3.3 intensity regulations to allow a building height over 36 feet to no more than 110 feet under a special permit from the planning board. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Charlton Planning Board will be conducted by remote participation. Specific information in the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and a requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Charlton website at townofcharlton.net. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen and or watch the meeting may do so in the following manner. Video participation, https://zoom.us/834-517-0914, meeting ID 834-517-30914, phone access 1-646-558-8656. The complete text and map of the proposed zoning map amendment is available for inspection at the planning board office and the town clerk's office during regular business hours. The application is also posted on the town website and the planning board. Any person interested or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. All right, Randy, you,
Yeah, I just first want to start, I had sent a memo out to the planning board discussing the two different districts and the changes in both districts. I just want to start off with, we originally had a workshop meeting with the potential applicant on a request for bylaw amendment to raise the building height to 110 feet in the business enterprise park zone. Since then, just after that time, we also had a request from an applicant to raise the building height, allow the building height amendment to be 75 feet in the industrial general zone. As a result of this all happening at the same time, we have put these together. They are going to be separate articles on the town meeting warrant, but because of the timing of it and everything, that we have put this together as one proposal to the planning board tonight. And the planning board is, of course, can take action on either proposal as they see fit. Alex Milla, has also helped put together a little bit of a presentation, some of the information you had seen prior to the workshop meeting. But this is basically showing the two separate proposals, one for the business enterprise park district and the proposal in the IG district. The business enterprise park zone is requesting, making a recommendation to raise the building height to allow it up to 110 feet with the under a special permit, and also it would only be allowed on lots of 75 acres or more, and the required setback would be 3 times the required setback for the zone. So in the business enterprise zone, as you can see with this chart here, it would increase the setback from 100 to 150 feet. The same holds true for what would be in the industrial general zone. It would affect properties 75 acres or more, and that request would be 75 feet. In my memo I had done to the board, I explained some of the difference between the business enterprise park zone and industrial general zone, and some of the recommendation allowed permitted uses in the bylaws for the industrial general zone might be uses that allowing for that 110-foot building height might not be beneficial for the town of Charlton. However, the business enterprise park zone has a limited amount of uses, not any in industrial in nature, that where the board consider allowing the building height to 110 feet. The industrial general district, for instance, allows things such as oil tanks, electrical, like facilities such as substation or power plants, where they are industrial nature, look industrial in nature, which might be fine in industrial district, but having it with the large building height, a higher building height might not be beneficial and might have negative impacts on surrounding properties. Those particular uses aren't allowed in the business enterprise park. It's more for office, distribution, and facilities that would be more visually appealing than what you might see in industrial general district. So maintaining a building height up to 75 feet in the industrial general district, I believe, would be a good recommendation for that district. However, I think the board could consider allowing the building height up to 110 feet in the business enterprise zone. So you can go to the page of the, oh, you're one page ahead of me, excuse me. And the fact that any of these, any proposed uses that allow for a building height over 36 feet actually require a special permit. So you can get a special permit to go up to 50 feet from 36 feet right now under a special permit. That could be done on any lot in the district. To go up to a 75-foot height in the industrial general district or a 110-foot height in the business enterprise park district would require a special permit, but it would only be allowed on lots that are 75 acres or more. In Charlton, that actually limits the amount of properties. Alex, can you go to the next screen? It limits it to a total of 5 properties that are currently zoned either industrial general or business enterprise park that are lots of 75 acres or more. One of the lots is the lot that our previous application was for the Charlton developer. That's in industrial general zone. And then we have 4 parcels that are in the business enterprise park district that are lots of 75 acres or more. So essentially that allowing or permitting a building height over 50 feet to 75 feet in the industrial general district, that would affect 1 parcel. In the business enterprise park going to 110 feet, it would affect 4 parcels. The need for having the building height to go to a higher parcels, Mark Donahue from Fletcher Tilcon, who was representing one of the potential applicants on the property, would like to speak to that. Mr. Donahue, ready to take over?
Certainly, Randy, with your permission, Mr. Chairman.
Go right ahead, Mark.
Thanks so much. As Randy said, my name is Mark Donahue. I'm an attorney with an office in Worcester. And this evening, I represent both Bay Colony Properties and Blue Water Property Group. The principals of Bay Colony Property, Bill Walk, is with me this evening. And from Blue Water Property Group is John DeCola and Alexandra Escamilla. John Perry, who you just met at the previous meeting from Langen Engineering, is also on the line, I believe, and is the civil engineer on this project also. Bay Colony and Blue Water share a long and successful history of developing commercial and industrial properties in a number of large markets throughout the United States. And for a while, each has looked for different purposes and opportunities, particularly in central Massachusetts, to meet what has become a burgeoning demand for commercial and industrial space, particularly in the logistics sector, which we'll speak about a little bit this evening. They have put, or Bay Colony has put, a tract of land consisting of in excess of 90 acres and commonly known as the Kozowski property, which has access to both Route 20 and Southbridge Road under agreement. And in addition, since the workshop that we had with the planning board back in March, has a very interested and motivated user that requires the height of 110 feet, and that I'll touch on this evening. To reiterate what Randy said, I want to be very clear with the board that we are only seeking your support at town meeting for the zone change to allow by special permit an increase in height. Your vote is not expected to be, nor should you consider it in any manner, an endorsement of the project. We are well aware of our obligations as an applicant to meet the stringent standards for a special permit when we go forward with a specific proposal and answer any number of questions that you will have and the town will have. And we obviously will have a requirement to go through other detailed permitting. But we seek the permission or your support for moving forward to be able to at least have the opportunity to present a higher building. The fair question is why? And I think the best way to answer the why question is to think of it as 3 separate why questions. The first is, why do you need 110 feet? And that really results from a major shift in industrial property, particularly in the logistics center, which is being driven by consumer effect. As we all know, and as we've experienced, particularly the acceleration over the last 14 months, The traditional idea of a large center that would put property in a warehouse and hold it there for a while and ultimately take it to a store the consumer would go to has quickly evolved into a demand by consumers, and we all meet that definition, of faster, closer, and more complete fulfillment of orders where customers want them. This falls in the business-to-business sector, the retail sector, the food sector, and many say it's only just beginning to have its effect. It has driven dramatic change in the industry. The parlance that essentially this is not your grandfather's warehouse anymore is particularly true, not just as to the size of the building, but also what goes on inside the building. Because what has developed is very specialized technology, very specialized material handling equipment that is able to try to meet this particular need that's being done. The practical problem, particularly as you try to get closer to the consumer, is the invariable result is there's less land available. And the practical problem is the size of the facilities that are necessary to do this, the amount of material that they seek to store here to be able to make it available to people as quickly as possible, simply limits the area that can be done and makes it impractical to build the kind of facility that's necessary on a single level. There's certainly a market for that still, and our friends at GFI just presented a proposal that works well in that segment. But much of the industry is moving to a multi-story model, which rather than going out and taking up greater area and having a greater environmental impact and needing more and more area, goes up instead and utilizes that specific technology and that specific equipment to work on a vertical instead of a horizontal basis. The second why question that you should be asking is, why is this good for Charlton to have a building up to 110 feet tall? We think it's consistent with your overall master plan, which was very clear that the goal of the BEP district and also the industrial general district was to create a diverse and help support a non-residential tax base, to grow economic development that would boost revenue, particularly in real estate taxes, in those particular areas of town. The type of project that we're speaking of, this multi-story building, has a scope of investment that will meet or exceed $300 million when completed. It comes with significant employment opportunities of good jobs, ranging in the excess of 1,000 people. That indirect impact of increasing your tax base provides an opportunity for a community to be able to take that additional revenue and decide how it's best to spend, because the impact on municipal services of these facilities is conversely very little, as you may be aware. So it helps to do that. Another primary reason why the town of Charlton should consider this and do it is it gives the town an additional competitive advantage it already has, in part because of its location. The access that Route 20 provides to Route 84 and to the Turnpike provides a means that which these logistics-centered buildings are seeking that. Being able to build up instead of out increases the competitive benefit that Charlton has and will lead to an appropriate use of the property that you have. The third question, which you may be asking, is a fair one, and that's why now? We're well aware that you just went through the process of increasing by special permit the height from 36 feet to 50 feet just in the fall. And the reason is that we do have a specific user who is very interested, has approved the site and its location, but needs a multi-story building that, not surprisingly, goes to 110 feet. And that user has a particular need for a 2023 delivery to meet its particular needs. And this gate, so it creates, as the height essentially, a gating issue, because we're confident we can resolve the other issues that you will fairly have and would present the permit. But the gating issue is obviously the height to be able to do that. So what is 110 feet? It's a little abstract of a number in some fashion. So to try to show you in matters that you would know, The photograph that you see of the Millennium Power Plant, the blue or lavender line that you see is essentially the grade of the plant itself. So obviously it's on a hill above the roadway. And the building itself has a height of approximately 105 feet. We've confirmed these with the building inspector. And the smokestack is obviously much greater. But remember, that is a significant grade difference going up already from where you see now. A flatter area would be the communication tower that's off of Route 20, as you can also see from the turnpike that I'm sure you're familiar with. That's flatter. And what we've shown is kind of where that is 110 feet. The entire facility is 190 feet. And obviously that's in a fairly open area, very proximate to being able to be seen from where this photograph's taken. Another image that we have is St. Joseph's Church, just to give you a perspective. The building itself has a height of 53 feet from grade as indicated, and the spire goes to 113 feet. So that gives you at least some sense of what it means. But that sense of what it means to some extent needs to be put in context. And so what we've tried to do by looking at this is use the site that is under control almost as a case study. And we've done it we've done it obviously to provide it to you, but we did it in the first instance to make sure that we could make a cogent argument that the additional height for a site this size in this location could work when we finally present the entire matter to you. So we looked at it from two different viewpoints. We looked at it from the immediate area of the site. And if you could just go back there just for a minute, Alex, for the next slide. This slide might be indicative of one of the benefits of creating the additional height, but tying it also to the additional setback. Much like GFI presented, one has an ability to be able to proceed at a 36-foot height in the area that you see as red. So that site obviously comes fairly close to abutting properties. It gets closer to roadways in some fashion that can happen. That site would support on a single level 1.1 million square feet of building. By special permit under your existing, that we could go to 50 feet of height. And that is the blue, or the purple rather, that you can see there. It's being pulled in obviously because of the setback, but once again, it's still a significant area that's to be built. The blue demonstrates the proposal, and I think what it shows by that and the blue line that you might be able to see around the perimeter is that what you've done is achieve two different things that's important by allowing additional height with the setback requirement. You've condensed the development into the center of the site, and you've created significant setbacks from abutting properties, much of which can be maintained in a larger site of this nature in a naturally vegetated state. So you've created the ability to buffer in some fashion how that works. We've created some models to show you exactly how it works on this site. And this is the first model looking from Sturbridge Road on Route 20, looking up at the building. This is all to scale so that the vegetation that you see along the road is existing vegetation at scale. Midway, you can see what would be proposed in a much more detailed plan and some buffering, which would grow as a period of time. And it gives you an idea of the distance in which the height is essentially absorbed into the landscape over a period of time so that it doesn't loom over somebody in some fashion. Another view that we have available is from Capon Road. This has the benefit of having the dip so that it even has a larger vegetated area that's difficult to see through and also allows that absorption. So that once again, by consolidating into the center of the site, you can see that this is better than 1,000 feet from the roadway where the viewing would occur. And then finally, a view just so you'd have a sense of it from Southbridge Road, which is also one of our access. Here you can see that the building does start to get up into the hill, but it still has a significant distance. It has a natural buffer that is created that will create some of that benefit, and we'll obviously be adding to that here. We recognize that more than just the immediate area, Charlton has the benefit of a number of rolling topography and different vistas. So we took a look at a number of different images as to how one would see the building. And each one of the blue dots that you see on this plan is one that we have available if you want to see it. But I'd like to just quickly review three so you can get a sense, because I think how a building appears, not just for an immediate abutter, but how it appears in the landscape of the community is an important consideration as to whether the height is an appropriate one. So the first one we have available is from Main Street, essentially behind the library. From that location, you can see in the top left the more detailed as to where it is, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. Looking toward the site in that location, the next view gives you an idea of what it looks like today. And then the next view tries to show you an idea of how the building would seem. It, I'm sure, strikes you as somewhat strange that the building looks so small from this distance, but please recall, not only is the vegetation obviously well established, but this site is better than 1.5 miles from the property. So you can see that our thought is that the height as you around this particular area really wouldn't affect any of the vistas within the community. A second view that we took at as far as a view shed concerned, somewhere a little bit closer, and that's within the Cape and Hill Sanctuary, closer to our site. This is also indicative, I think, of what one would see when they were traveling on Route 20, because you have the open field of that Cape and Hill has, and one could see therefore through that site. And it's probably the most proximate area that one would be able to see. So looking at an image of what that looks like today, and this is approximately 900 to 1,000 feet from where the building would sit. You're in the field that many of you, I'm sure, know, looking at the vegetation. And that's a depiction of where the building would appear in that distance. So you can see that given the setback, and once again, being able to go higher by pushing into the property, leaves more and more of the vegetated, natural vegetated buffer in place, serving as a good benefit. And then finally, recognizing that people in Charlton and people all over Worcester County like to come and see the sunset and the like in Charlton at some of the hills, we went up to Carpooling Road to take a look as to what that vista would look like. Looking down, I'm sure you're familiar with it. This is what you would see today. If you were to permit a building to go to 50 feet tall, that's what it would appear to be in the horizon. And at 110 feet, it would look as this. So it is obviously observable. We're not going to suggest you wouldn't see it, but in comparison to what the 50 feet would be, and recognizing that the overall benefit and still the benefit of the entire vista that one has is through the whole horizon, we don't believe that it is innocuous or objectionable in any fashion. So what we've done essentially is try to show that we think that this can work in some fashion, that we would hope that you would help us convince the town meeting that the additional height to meet logistics operators is a good use of property in the BEP zone, can be done in a fashion that still preserves and protects the town, particularly given the stringent special permit standards that you have, and would be an opportunity for the town not enjoyed by many others. It would bring undoubtedly significant tax revenue, which you try to drive, as every community tries to drive, from its industrial properties in some fashion, and obviously significant infrastructure. We know we have a lot of work to do to convince you that it works, and to meet any concerns that the community has. We only seek the opportunity and therefore respectfully request the board to endorse the warrant article to the town meeting. Thank you, and any of us will be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you, Mark, for your presentation. Does the board have any questions? Or Randy, do you have anything?
I didn't know if Mark Grossy wanted to speak to the in the industrial general district, or he's all set. I'm not sure exactly.
No, thank you, Randy. I'd like to just say a few words. It's those of you who are present in the first public hearing this evening for the GFI proposal at 241 Sturbridge Road heard Mark Fougere, an economic forecaster, describe the enormous opportunity that that warehouse will present to broaden the tax base, increase local employment, and as a result, provide more amenities to the people who live in Charlton. GFI agrees completely with Attorney Donahue's excellent presentation that would allow for a change in the industry. by increasing the available height. Height takes advantage of the new technology while reducing the building footprint, as he's pointed out. Unlike Attorney Donahue's potential client, who has a need for 110 feet, GFI's inquiries have come from establishments that are focused more on facilities that will be up to 75 feet. And that's okay, because we're conscious of the Hill Street neighbors, the fact that the building is on the esker that was described by John in his presentation of the site. And we can live with something up to 75 feet, whereas more may be necessary in another location. The most important things I think to take away for the planning board members tonight before they consider this is that there's a 75-acre minimum site. So any building here is going to be set back enormously, whether it's in BEP or IG, from the side and rear lines of the property. And that will diminish the impact of the building and its visual presence. Secondly, this is a special permit requirement. There's going to be no decision made tonight or at town meeting for that matter about whether or not 75 feet or 110 feet is appropriate at a specific location. All this does is provide an opportunity for a special permit application to be submitted to the planning board later. And any special permit would require a supermajority vote of that board after close examination, whether it's in BEP, whether it's in IG, whether it's 110 feet, or whether it's up to 75 feet. So this is about building that opportunity into the process to take advantage of the Route 20 resource that Charlton's been blessed with. Believe me, when you drive up and down 495, which is closer to where I live, every interchange at this point in time, and I've inventoried them all for clients, has basically been built out like this. There's very little space left inside of 495. And the benefit of that has now fallen to Charlton. So take advantage of it. This is your tax base waiting to happen. You won't get there unless you create the opportunity by applicants to at least make a pitch to you. That's all we're asking for. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mark.
Actually, I'd just like to make a comment in reference to that is that in our 2008 master plan, which is our most recent version, it was, you know, the master plan geared towards economic development on the Route 20 corridor. And all these parcels that would be affected by the increase in building height are all frontage or only have access through the Route 20 corridor. So yes, I know that a property owner brought up concern about Oxford Road and stuff in the past, but the whole idea is that we want to promote our development on the Route 20 corridor, so we have less of an impact on the what we consider the secondary roads in the, you know, less populated residential areas. So having this opportunity and the fact that it's done through a special permit process, which is going to give the planning board all the power to determine whether it's appropriate on a certain parcel of land or not. I think that's a major advantage for the planning board, that there might be an opportunity that we take advantage of somebody willing to build something in town that will help our economic development, but at the same time, the planning board will control it so it's done in an appropriate manner.
All right. Is the Dawn or John, you guys got any questions or comments?
Yeah, you know, I believe that the presentation was very well. I think it puts the case together nicely of why it's needed for this particular facility. Yeah, I don't have any questions. Not at this point.
All right, no problem. John Smith, do you have anything?
All right, I'd like to thank both of them. It's been a wealth of information about, you know, the possibility and what's coming down the pike for development. So I'd like to thank the presenters for their information.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Randy, do you have anything before I open it up for public comment?
No, I'll just trying to get a feel for the planning board members. Is Jean or Alicia on any yet, or no? I don't see them, so that's why.
I don't see him either.
Yeah, okay.
Can I make a suggestion?
Go right ahead.
I know this is the time to do it, but we probably should have everyone here to vote on this. Just,
Yeah, this is just voting to see if we want to endorse this at the town meeting or not.
True.
Unfortunately, if we don't do it tonight, if we take no action, it doesn't go on the warrant. Is that my understanding? Maybe Mark, you could.
I think Mark knows that it has implications about bringing it back before the board, doesn't it, Mark?
The law says in chapter 48, section 5, that the planning board should make a recommendation to town meeting. But many years ago, the town meeting could not consider it unless the planning board did so. That law was changed, and it now says that the town meeting cannot consider the article unless the planning board has made a report or 21 days have passed. So if your town meeting, if this, for example, if this were to close tonight and you did not make a recommendation, as long as town meeting is more than 21 days out in the future, the town meeting could continue it. If it was within 21 days, the moderator would declare consideration of the warrant article to be off base.
Yeah. So based on that, this is the last.
When's your town meeting?
May 17th.
So
it's outside 21 days. So
it's outside 21 days. Okay.
But
that's if you close tonight.
So I think it's up to us being in the meeting, John, to make a recommendation, because if we pass on it tonight and continue it, that will put us within the 21 days. But that still may give us time to either give a recommendation or not a recommendation, depending on how you want to do it. So I'll leave it up to the chair to decide.
And just again with Mark, isn't it if we approve or disapprove or we give our support for it and it passes, or if we don't give our support and it passes, is there a ramification about bringing it about before the board again?
Yes, if the board does not recommend favorably, then the same article cannot be considered by town meeting for 2 years. But if the board makes a favorable recommendation, it could come back at a town meeting 2 weeks later if it were properly advertised.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If it's if I might, Mr. Chairman.
Go right ahead, Mark.
If it's helpful to the board, and it's certainly your choice, but if you've somewhere during the course of the evening lost one member and another one didn't appear, if you want to put this on to your next meeting and make a determination then, we would certainly appreciate having the support of the planning board and meeting that being certainly if not a unanimous vote, of a supermajority. So we're glad to do that if it makes it easier for you. Your call.
Problem is that would be less than 21 days.
Well, it would, as long as we make a determination one way or the other, it's okay. It'll still go to town meeting. It's just if we take no action, 21 days need to pass.
That's correct.
Okay. So if we take it up at our next meeting and we have a vote at that meeting, it can move forward, either with a recommendation or without. Do we want to take, I mean, we've got a lot of people on here from the public. Do we want to?
Yeah, let's take public comment, and we'll have, as a board, we'll discuss stuff, what we want to going forward, as far as if we want to wait till other board members are present at next meeting or just take action tonight. So at this point in time, I'd like to open up any questions about this, strictly only about the zoning bylaw revision. If you speak, please state your name and address for the record, please. And just like we did at the last public hearing, if you have a question, just hit on the bottom of your screen, you have the reactions icon. Just raise your hand so we know who would like to ask a question or make a comment. Anyone raise their hand, Randy?
I do not see anybody. No, this. Alex, can you close the screen? Yeah, there we go. I'm sorry, but it's okay. I do not have anybody from the public raising their hand here.
All right. Presentation was that great, no question. It was a good one though.
So with that said, I don't know, John, do you want to postpone this till the next meeting so we can just discuss it amongst the whole board? Because right now there's just 3 of us here.
To be fair to the applicant, I would think so. And to be fair to the, not the applicant, but to be fair, well, true. And to be fair to the other members, yes, I would.
May I make a suggestion, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go right ahead, Mark. Then I'll make my comment.
If there's no public comment, then the board might close the public hearing. You don't have to make the recommendation the same night you close the public hearing.
Correct.
And it's a legislative public hearing. It's not an adjudicatory public hearing. So the Mullen rule does not apply here. That only applies to variances and special permits and things like that. This is like being up on Beacon Hill. If the legislator from your district is not there today, he can still vote. Right. So that's what the missing member could do if you close the public hearing today.
I got you. All right.
And that would eliminate the 21-day consideration, because you'd close it. The meeting's not until mid-May, more than 21 days later. You can talk about it at the next meeting as a regular agenda item.
All right. Great information, Mark. Thank you. My only thing is the other board members won't be able to see those great visuals.
Well, I was hoping that they could provide the materials that you showed tonight to the planning board, and we can post those. If that's okay.
Possible, Alex?
Absolutely. We'll provide them, and I think the meeting is recorded, so I suppose somebody could actually put themselves through watching it all if they wanted to. So
I can put this on a flash drive for everyone, or send it to everyone however they want to get it. But I also have a copy of the visuals that they provided. Alex Escamilla sent a copy to me as well. So I have that and I can share that with the board.
All right. Okay, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor, Don Clay?
Aye.
John Smith?
Aye.
Ross Massey, aye. It is unanimous.
thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Great
Thank you very much.
In light of this, we want to start this at the beginning of the next, at the May 5th meeting. We'll start with this and then move on to the other agenda items.
Yes, that sounds great. Does that make sense, John and Don?
Sure. Whatever you decide.
So May 5th, 7 o'clock. To do this item. All right, discussion. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to our next agenda item. Randy, do we have anything for new business at all?
No, but actually, Town Administrator Randy Gold made an announcement today that we will be able to start holding in-person meetings starting, I believe it's May 3rd. However, there's some restrictions about being vaccinated and everything. For the planning board, we couldn't look at that until our second meeting in May. Our May 5th meeting has already been published and we have legal notice for the Zoom meeting for May 5th, which is our next meeting. So we'll still hold that meeting as a Zoom meeting. However, after that, if the planning board wishes that we can hold, it would be a hybrid in-person and Zoom meeting. We'll have the selectmen's meeting room where meetings can be held. So the planning board can be there, an applicant and a few members of the public, but we will also provide it. They have a large TV screen that people can also view the meeting via Zoom and participate, just as people are doing right now. So, that will start in May. That's something the board, we don't have to determine that tonight, but, well, actually, we kind of do. If I have to notice for a meeting in the second meeting of May, I have to know, should I do it? I could do it as a Zoom meeting, I can do it a hybrid, or as an in-person meeting. So we'll have to kind of figure that out.
You ready?
Yes.
Hey, if it helps, you guys can just post it as a Zoom meeting, because public participation can be via Zoom. If the members of the board end up being in person, the public access would still be by Zoom. So feel free to proceed however the board wants.
It's still legally posted. Okay, that's good to know. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
So we don't have to figure that out tonight.
All right. Well, yeah. Either way, I'd like to get input from the other members as well. How comfortable they feel about being in a group, indoors, wearing the mask.
We want to make sure that people are vaccinated as well. So I don't know if everybody's had an opportunity to do that or will have by May.
Okay. How are you guys making out on that? Anyone get?
I'm not opposed to at some point going back. I think maybe a little further out than this month might be beneficial. But
no problem. Fine, respect it.
I'm good. I get my second shot next week, so. But I'm with Don, just as long as everyone is comfortable with the meeting. So that's the big thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything else, Randy?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Or actually, do you guys have anything that's come up? Did you guys want to bring up?
No, I want to thank Don again for all that information on the Dropbox there. It's awesome. Thank you, Don.
I got it all figured out, and Randy's doing a good job getting it there.
Oh, it's Randy now.
Yeah, Randy's dropping that.
They put it under the right meeting date. It works a lot better.
Yeah.
It was all under April 7th. That's why there was the big barrage of emails at the last minute. Just tidying up and keeping house. That's all I was doing.
All good.
All right.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Go ahead, John.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor, Don Clay.
Aye.
John Smith.
Aye.
Ross Smith, aye. It's unanimous.
Thank you, guys.
All right, have a good rest of the week. We'll see you next.
Bye, guys.
All right.